Hi, everyone. I'm Ernest Hooper, Chief Communications Officer for United Way Suncoast. I'm thrilled to welcome you to Real Talk on Education, a community report card. In the next hour, we'll present information on our 5 school districts that promises to be both intriguing and illuminating. Our goal is to let you learn more about the steady progress occurring with students on the Suncoast. We asked the school superintendents from Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Sarasota, and DeSoto to record a video that celebrates their respective districts' big wins, identifies challenges, and hopefully creates a foundation for future achievement. We'll have a panel of experts discuss some of the salient points from each video. With time permitting, we'll take a few questions from the audience. And finally, we'll wrap up with some closing thoughts from our panelists and United Way Suncoast's Chief Impact Officer. But first, we begin with United Way Suncoast Community Impact Vice President and Education Lead, Nicole Brown. Nicole will set the tone for today's discussion. Nicole?
United Way Suncoast strives to create a path from preschool preparation to kindergarten readiness, to third grade reading proficiency, to middle school and high school success, culminating with post-secondary opportunities and ultimately financial security for the next generation. This effort includes working with our 5 school districts and partnering with other interested entities to move the needle. For example, we've expanded our summer learning and loss initiative, Summer Care, to support ALICE families throughout our region. This initiative provides scholarships from pre-K through elementary age students to access high-quality camp experiences, receive a bridge book curriculum, and participate in small group literacy tutoring. More than 100 years ago, our predecessors founded this organization on the concept of creating collective will to bring about lasting change. Today, the mission to create that lasting change continues, and it starts with increased awareness. We've called on happening in our school districts through this forum to discover that despite some challenges, each of our districts can point to some successes. Successes that we hope our community celebrates, learns from, and use to pursue further growth. In the next hour, we believe you'll discover that our school districts have the vast majority of our students going in the right direction. Through genuine concern, earnest efforts, and innovative approaches, the needle is moving. Let's all listen and learn. Ernest?
Thanks, Nicole. Now, let's introduce our panelists and then screen our first video. Joining us today to help guide our conversation are 3 astute educational observers with regional and statewide perspectives. First, we have the author of more than 50 publications that center on ways to promote responsive secondary school experiences for young adolescent learners. She earned a doctoral degree and 2 master's degrees in education from the University of Florida, go Gators, and a bachelor's from Florida Southern College. She currently serves as professor of middle grades and general secondary education and campus dean of the College of Education at the University of South Florida's Sarasota Manatee campus. Please welcome Cheryl Ellebrock. Hello, Cheryl. How are you? Next, we have someone who has spent more than 20 years of her career as an education advocate. She holds bachelor's degrees in English and business from Florida State University and a master's degree in journalism and communication from the University of Florida. For the last 16 years, she's led the consortium of Florida Education Foundations as president and CEO. Say hello to Mary Chance. Hi, Mary.
Hey.
Our third panelist brings a long track record of educational nonprofit experience to the table, including 6 years as head of the Pinellas Education Foundation. She earned a bachelor's degree from the University of South Florida in psychology, a master's from Harvard University in education, and a doctoral degree from the University of Florida in educational leadership and administration. Now, in her second stint at the Helios Education Foundation, she serves as the organization's Senior Vice President of Florida Community Engagement, Operations, and Strategic Partnerships. We're pleased to have Dr. Stacy Byer join us today. Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
All right. So again, thanks to all of you for supporting our efforts to illuminate the issues of the day revolving around K-12 education. One quick reminder for everyone who has joined us, these videos were originally produced in the fall when we had initially scheduled this event for October. We postponed the event in the wake of Hurricanes Helene and Milton, but we think the videos still hold great relevance. One other point, if you have questions, please place them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. We'll review the questions and save them for the end of the presentation. Hopefully we'll have time to get to them. All right, let's start by viewing our first video. Dr. Jason Wysong, superintendent from the school district of Manatee County. The Manatee district has 67 schools, 53,400 students, and 59% of those students are on free or reduced lunch. The school board appointed Dr. Wysong as superintendent in May of 2023. Let's see his video.
Good morning, and thank you for joining this online forum. I am proud to lead the School District of Manatee County and share a little about the academic momentum that we are building in our community. When I arrived in Bradenton in July of 2023, I was pleasantly surprised to find that almost all of the infrastructure needed to create a thriving school district was already here. Manatee has an incredibly supportive and generous business community and philanthropic ecosystem. Groups like the Manatee Chamber of Commerce, the Bradenton Economic Development Corporation, and the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance understand that the local school district is an important driver of economic growth and prosperity in a community. When combined with a strong network of nonprofit organizations and foundations like the Manatee Education Foundation, the Manatee Community Foundation, and of course United Way Suncoast, we have all the ingredients to support the needs of a striving and growing school district. I am a strong proponent of playing the long game in school improvement, building systems and leadership pipelines that can steadily improve student outcomes while cementing high expectations and evidence-based practices into the culture of the organization. Last year, 24 of our schools in Manatee County earned an A rating, the highest number since 2012. Furthermore, a handful of our Title I schools soared to new heights, including Able Elementary, which earned its first A since 2011, Tillman Elementary, which earned its first A in school history, and Ballard Elementary, which improved from a D to a B. These schools earned very high learning gains and high low quartile learning gains, signifying a successful focus on moving level 1 and level 2 students toward grade level expectations. With these success stories, our other Title I schools can now see the pathway to an A grade for their school communities as well. A question I am often asked is, why is Manatee a B district and how do we get to an A? The good news is that our school board has already identified the answer. Prioritize and invest in early learning, in teacher and principal retention, and in building a culture of reading throughout our community. We know that we can only get there with support from groups like United Way Suncoast, which provides funding for 8 reading paraprofessionals in our highest needs schools. That investment is truly remarkable, as is the work of others like the Patterson Foundation, which helps to lead our area's Suncoast campaign for grade level reading. We're excited for the momentum we're building in Manatee County. We're confident that our extraordinary teachers and principals can take us to new heights, and we're optimistic about the future for our children.
All right, he's optimistic about the future of children in Manatee counties, as we all are, and certainly appreciated Superintendent Wysong's comments. Now, panelists, he spoke specifically about the support he has received from the business community and the philanthropic ecosystem. How much do our school districts need that kind of support to address the challenges that they face and make improvements? Mary, let's start with you on this question.
Thank you. And really, thank you for hosting a forum that's focused on the long game and Dr. Wysong's comments just now and United Way Suncoast focus from early childhood through college attainment. That long game. Last month, I had the opportunity to speak to newly elected superintendents from those last cycles. A lot of our districts in Florida have elected superintendents. I know that's not as familiar in the Tampa Bay area. And I sought the counsel of Dr. Mike Greco, most recently the superintendent in Pinellas schools, but a 42-year leader in education in Florida, and said, what do you think I should say to them? They've got a lot on their plate, a lot to get started with, and what I would call the daily episodic adventures of running a school district. And it can, be hard to stay focused on that long game.
Absolutely.
And his advice was strong leaders need strong partnerships. They cannot do this job alone. And I believe everyone has a vested interest in the success of a Dr. Weishong and leaders. He comes after 5 years of strong leadership from a previous superintendent. So leaders building on leaders. And it sounds like he's continuing that focus with other leadership roles in the district. And I think that's an important focus and not necessarily sort of the issue du jour to focus on, but the long game of that success. And now I'll steal a phrase from my friend, Dr. Stacy Beyer, of her suggestion of starting that conversation, which when she was in Pinellas, she started it with Dr. Grego when he was there, which is asking what keeps you up at night, asking them what keeps them up at night, and then think about what you can do to help plug in and be a part of supporting them so that they have a long, successful tenure as the leader of your school district.
Yeah, absolutely. I so appreciate that, Mary, and I appreciate acknowledging Cynthia Saunders, who was the previous superintendent in Manatee. Cheryl, you're in the Sarasota Manatee area. Do you sense that the support that Dr. Weishong is receiving is critical to what he's trying to achieve?
Without a doubt. Philanthropic support is absolutely imperative, especially in today's day and age. It really affords the opportunity for unique partnerships that can lead to new and innovative ways of thinking, being, and programs and initiatives that might not otherwise transpire. In particular at USF Sarasota Manatee campus, sitting right next to Manatee County and intimately connected with the school district, we do a lot of partnerships with the school district and philanthropic organizations to uplift needs in the district. Recently, Core Construction and Manatee Community Foundation fully funded a cohort of 15 elementary teachers to go through a certificate program at the graduate level to grow their own teacher leadership, never leaving the classroom, but uplifting schools from within. Bransick Foundation, they put out a fully funded grant for an entire cohort of Sarasota and Manatee County future leaders, all coming through USF Sarasota Manatee. I could keep going. We have the Henson Fund in Sarasota County uplifting literacy in Title I schools. We have Soarin' For in Manatee County uplifting early childhood literacy. And I really don't want to neglect the fact that our community and our philanthropic agencies really work towards providing scholarships that help to prepare future teachers, future leaders, and all the wraparound services that we support in schools through the College of Ed. We cannot do it without philanthropic organizations. No way.
Yeah, okay. And as we wrap up on this topic, Stacy, do you find yourself still running into business leaders who don't understand the importance of supporting K through 12 education?
Fortunately, I think those times have kind of come and gone. I think the challenge is really the focus on where and how do we bring about systems change that can long outlive the philanthropic investment. I think Dr. Ellerbach really pointed to the innovations that can come from philanthropy. Philanthropy can really help to create a space and a time where in partnership with districts, in partnership with other nonprofits in the community, we can really innovate and take some risks that maybe aren't possible with government dollars, and really look at opportunities to help the school districts potentially approach things a little bit differently. They actually have resources, but sometimes they're so tied up in maybe retroactively solving problems, they can't always be focused on the things that they could be doing in a preventative or early intervention mode. So we are seeing philanthropy being more engaging with districts to really beginning to think through where are some of those targeted places where we can help to address a short-term problem that then the districts can come alongside and look for longer-term financial solutions to continue them if they are shown to be effective.
Yep. As my father always said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So we need folks to step up. And it's not solving the big problem, Stacy. It just solve here, solve there, and then collectively it improves the district. So I love that. Okay, time to move to our next video. Coming up now, we have Van Ayers, superintendent for the school district of Hillsborough County. The Hillsborough district, the largest among our 5 counties, has 250 schools, 220,000 students, and 52% on free or reduced lunch. The school board appointed Superintendent Ayers as interim superintendent in June of 2023 and installed him as the permanent superintendent in November of that same year. Here is Van Ayers.
I'm honored to join you today to celebrate our shared commitment to making an impact on the lives of students and families in Hillsborough County. As the 7th largest school district in the nation, Hillsborough County Public Schools has over 218,000 students, more than 30,000 attending through one of our school choice programs. The past few years have been a very transformative period for our school district. Our academic progress has been truly remarkable. Last year alone, we saw a district-wide graduation rate exceeding 86.2%, the second highest in the district history. 14,000 Hillsborough County Public School graduates received their diploma in May. We expanded access to equitable, high-quality instruction, especially through our magnet and accelerated programs, where more students than ever are enrolling in advanced coursework, giving them a head start on college. This year, our students took 28,000 AP exams, and we saw an 8% increase in the pass rate for those exams. Our students took 20,500 Cambridge ACE exams, where we saw a 57.7% pass rate, which is a 3% increase from the previous school year. 20,000 dual enrollment courses were taken, impacting over 6,800 students. In total, we are proud to say that we provided over 72,000 accelerated opportunities to students this past school year. We also had 18,500 industry certifications by our students, preparing them for high-demand jobs right out of high school. And we've made significant strides in literacy, with a 5% increase in the number of our third grade students reading at or above grade level, reflecting the positive impact of our dedicated work of our teachers and staff. Also, as part of our 5-year strategic plan, we launched our Hillsborough Reads Rise in 5, a literacy campaign aimed at increasing the number of students within the school district who read on grade level. And finally, we are extremely proud that 96.5% of our schools received an A, B, or C school grade from the Florida Department of Education, up from 84% the previous year. A tremendous achievement by the entire team who believe, like I do, that we can get that number to 100% very soon. Looking ahead, my vision for this district is for every student to have the best classroom experience possible. We can do that with a high-quality teacher in every classroom, with data-driven instruction to help our students achieve even greater heights, and with amazing leaders in our schools who set the culture for their staff, their students, and their communities. And we can do that with support from organizations like the United Way Suncoast. Thank you for your unwavering support of our district and the families we serve. We are stronger together, and we will continue to partner with you to provide the resources and opportunities for all our students every day.
All right. Very good presentation by Superintendent Ayers and panelists. He spoke quite a bit about providing accelerated opportunities to students in the 2023-24 school year. 72,000 accelerated opportunities to be specific. Stacy, I know Helios focuses a lot on preparing students for post-secondary success. How critical is it for all our school districts to promote things like dual enrollment, AP exams, and career training?
Well, thank you for this question, because it perfectly aligns to where Helios is focused, because our mission is to really ensure that all students find success in post-secondary education. But we do have a particular focus on 2- and 4-year degrees. But we know that preparation for post-secondary, it doesn't start at the moment of college enrollment. There are so many critical pieces that are put in place along a student's educational journey. And one of those for us is increasing success in accelerated exposure to and success in accelerated coursework. Hearing the increased emphasis from Superintendent Van Ayers and experiencing firsthand with my own 2 high school students, the expansion of ACE, IB, AP, dual enrollment really shows that we're heading in the right direction. Participation in accelerated coursework not only prepares students for the rigor of college, but maybe equally important, these accelerated courses can be a student's first exposure to college. These courses can provide early insight into what could be possible for them in post-secondary. So beyond just the pass rates on the exams, these courses serve as a strong foundation for college level academic knowledge, but also serve a valuable role in exposing students to what may be possible beyond high school. The old adage, you can't be what you can't see. Accelerated coursework really helps students to see themselves as college students, really setting up that vision for what may be possible for them and giving them that critical exposure so that they can begin to lay that important pathway for post-secondary ed degree attainment.
Yeah, Cheryl, as we continue to see this emphasis on accelerated opportunities, are you seeing the impact of that emphasis with the students coming onto your campus?
Absolutely. USF is leading the state actually in dual enrollment. We have an articulation agreements with almost every district across the state, homeschool populations and the like. This means, truthfully, Ernest, that it's easier than ever to dual enroll and to be able then to matriculate into an AAU institution locally in our Suncoast like USF. To me, it's all about really providing youth choices and helping to support whatever that secondary, post-secondary career aspiration is. And I really loved what Stacy said, and you used the word exposure, Stacy, so critically important. Whether they actually get that passing rate on the AP exam, that's always the goal, right? But exposure to what it would be like to be in a college course, the rigor of it, the level of critical thinking, so very developmentally appropriate for our high schoolers. But I don't want to leave out or neglect this notion of workforce development. Career training is equally important in order to be able to help our youth and position them for what our communities need for tomorrow, and to think in ways we can't even really know what some of these workforce development like jobs will be, but to be able to think in the ways that will help to prepare them, I think is really important to wrestle with as districts and as folks in education, so that we can keep our talent local, help to accelerate our pipeline into our jobs and our communities, and see the growth in our communities. So I think this is two-prong approach is so super important.
Yeah, yes, couldn't agree with you more. Mary, how are the foundations around the state supporting career development and elevating that post-secondary success?
So a number of things. The early exposure and experiences to ignite a student's interest or introduce them to fields that they didn't know existed. And there's a number of partnerships that we facilitate in different ways around the state, including in the Suncoast area. One that comes to mind is with HCA Healthcare, and it is about exposure and interest in healthcare career pathways, not just the 4-year and beyond degrees, but certificates and high need, high demand, high wage positions in healthcare. So there's 5,200 students participating in those programs in 15 districts around the state this year. And it's direct linkage to the careers and higher enrollment in the career academies in high schools and in technical schools are resulting. So we're just doing a mid-year report right now to see where we stand in that 3-year project. And we've got another philanthropic partner who is supporting that work as well. But it's intentionality to not wait until high school to think about these things, but pushing it down into the middle years and earlier. One of our education foundations on the other coast, classrooms to careers, they start in kindergarten with exposure to different career pipelines. Specifically to Suncoast area though, and Hillsborough that we just talked about, one example and something to really think about why the philanthropic investment is so important. I think the ratio of school counselors to students is 400 plus to 1. And so obviously hard to get one-on-one attention on and reach particularly first generation students about the possibilities if it's not things that they're talking about at home or on a regular basis. So Hillsborough has been focused, the Hillsborough Education Foundation has been focused on expanding their SCOPE initiative. I think they're in 4 high schools now, providing one-on-one support in these college and career centers for students to start making their plan for accelerating their academic exposure and attainment in high school, and then planning for life beyond. And I don't know, when I was just thinking about this just now, I grew up in Land O'Lakes, Florida, in a high school that had 1 AP class at the time. We only one was offered. And I got enough to get college credit in that class. And I'm a first generation college student. And I hadn't really thought about it to this moment, but the idea that I had that college credit, 1 credit in English, gave me a strong message that was within my reach and confidence to walk into USF and pursue additional credits.
Yeah, no, I so appreciate that last comment, Mary, because succeeding in a post-secondary level is so much about confidence. and believing in yourself. So I think that's an excellent point. All right, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. We're running a little bit behind schedule, but now it's time to hear from Terry Connor, our superintendent for Sarasota County Schools. The Sarasota district has 56 schools, 48,000 students, and 52.9% on free or reduced lunch. A school board appointee, Superintendent Connor, started his tenure in July of 2023. Here's Superintendent Connor.
Hi, I'm Terry Connor, Superintendent of Sarasota County Schools, and I'm excited to share some of our recent accomplishments and affirm our commitment to providing an exceptional education for every student, every day. Over the summer, the Florida Department of Education awarded our district top marks, making this our 21st consecutive year as an A-rated school district. This has been especially significant because of the learning loss from the recent pandemic and the financial challenges that districts are facing across the nation. The positive results show that our strategic initiatives are working and our programs are strong and effective. Our third grade English language arts achievement now ranks second among all 67 school districts in Florida. This is a result of our investment in high quality professional development centered around the science of reading. These achievements are a testament to the hard work of our students, our teachers and staff, and the support of our entire community. Together, creating a culture of excellence that will benefit our students for years to come. Our long-term goals haven't changed: to provide a high-quality, rigorous curriculum, a supportive learning environment, and the resources necessary for every student to succeed. We're making progress towards these goals, and we're committed to sustaining that momentum. 36 of our 38 traditional public schools have earned an A or B grade, reflecting the success of our key literacy initiatives and the development of our systems, processes, and procedures that have raised our graduation rates and improved overall student outcomes. Our schools are more than just institutions. They're the heart of our community. And when we invest in our schools, we invest in our future. A thriving school district requires a strong partnership between the schools, the community, and the private sector. We are grateful for the support we've received from our parents, community, and business partners throughout Sarasota County. This community has shown its dedication to our schools by extending the millage referendum since it began in 2002. All funds received will continue to provide enriching opportunities and valuable resources for our students and teachers for years to come. For more information, please visit our website on how the referendum supports Sarasota County schools. Whether you volunteer in our schools, mentor our students, or support our teachers, your involvement can make a real impact in our community. Thank you.
All right, Superintendent Connor referenced the significance of overcoming the learning losses from the pandemic. For some, the pandemic seems like a long time ago, but it appears that it's still impacting education efforts here in Florida and really across the nation. Cheryl, what's your perspective on the impact that the pandemic has had on learning loss? And how are we doing in managing that impact?
Yeah, thanks, Ernest, for this one. COVID, it really brought some real challenges in education in our state and in our country, and quite frankly, around the globe. Challenges in many cases that I don't really think we were really prepared for, nor could we have prepared for them, right? I've read multiple studies and firsthand account, I can attest to the lasting impacts of the pandemic on student learning, especially in the youngest years. For example, the current group of kindergartners that we have, they were learning to talk during the pandemic by people who are wearing masks. When you're void of those visual cues, the ability to be able to learn how to talk, and then talking accelerates into pre-literacy, that's impacted. Those kindergartners, that's my baby. That's my youngest. These foundational skills are just so important. Whether it's learning to talk or it's learning to read or it's learning addition or subtraction, when they're disrupted, over time, those gaps emerge. But there's good news. There's good news is because we know how to address those gaps. So for example, in literacy, we know that teaching foundational literacy explicitly and systematically is necessary to catch youth up. And you heard Mr. Connor talk about that in his Reading for All program in Sarasota County. These types of programs and these types of very strategic initiatives are critical. I want to talk also about the social development of our youth. So when students returned to school, there were safety protocols up to 2 years initiated in schools, such as wearing masks and social distancing, which limited things like small group interaction. This is so very vitally important to the development of youth. And I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that. When we've disrupted a social development or academic development, We need to make sure that we are putting intentionality in what we're doing in order to be able to help those youth gain those skills and matriculate into that whole being as they see themselves.
Okay, we're running a little bit behind time. So panelists, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to our next video. And you had some comments about the pandemic impact. Maybe you can get those in your closing comments. So our next video comes from DeSoto County. Here is Superintendent Bobby Bennett, who won re-election to his post in 2024 after first winning election in 2020. DeSoto is the smallest district among the 5 counties that United Way Suncoast engages. It has 4,300 students, 6 schools, and here is Superintendent Bennett.
Hello, DeSoto County schools and community members. I'm excited to take a moment to share some of the incredible accomplishments that we've achieved together as a district and highlight the proactive steps that we're taking to address challenges head on. First, I am thrilled to announce that we're making significant strides in securing funds to build and update our facilities, including the much anticipated new DeSoto High School. This investment underscores our commitment to providing state-of-the-art learning environment for our students and our staff. We've also prioritized our greatest asset, our people, with an increase in compensation and benefits, along with initiatives like the course reimbursement program. We're offering financial support for staff continuing advanced degrees in education. Further, we've implemented robust structures and systems to support teaching and learning. Our collaborative data analysis process has identified areas of support within our schools and determines actionable steps each quarter. This data-driven approach has helped us move all of our schools out of school improvement and achieve the district's highest grades in 12 years. Additionally, we're proud to have attained district accreditation through Cognia, a testament to our dedication to excellence. Our district-wide professional learning days, organized based on data and staff input, ensure that our educators are equipped with the tools they need to succeed. We're also enhancing opportunities for students with updated STEM and agricultural science curricula and by adding relevant career and technical education courses and programs. These initiatives are equipping our students with the skills needed for a competitive future. I'm particularly proud to share that our high school graduation rates have increased by an impressive 10%. This achievement reflects the hard work of our students, teachers, families, and staff, as well as the support of our community. Finally, we've been very intentional about building physically conservative systems that allow us to maximize resources while seeking input from students, staff, and the community through surveys. Your voices are shaping the future of our school. Together, we are creating a culture of success and innovation in DeSoto County Schools. Thank you for your continued support as we work to provide the best possible educational experience for every student. The best is yet to come. Thanks and God bless.
Well, so good news out of DeSoto County. It sounds like the steady progress is happening there as it is in all 5 of our school districts. And Superintendent Bennett twice mentioned teachers serving as our greatest assets. Mary, I wanted to ask, as someone who has attained higher education degrees, how important is it to provide professional development opportunities for our teachers?
Sorry about that. So I noticed a Teacher of the Year banner in that DeSoto video, and I'll tell you that education foundations, of the $100 million they raise and invest in various programs on the local level throughout Florida, about half of that is teacher facing. And sometimes it is recognition of excellence, Teacher of the Year, etc. Sometimes it is teacher resource stores, so teachers can get what they need for their classroom without having to, reach into their own pocket to support their teaching habit, which, is a form of compensation support. Or grants to put their innovative ideas into action to reach every student. In the professional development arena, we're seeing a growing movement of education foundations supporting teacher-led professional development that involves peer-to-peer learning. There's a lot of mandated and required things for teachers, but what we're discovering is when there are options that are voluntary, of teachers being able to build collegial networks of peer teachers to support one another, that it's powerful. We have one partnership with Florida Power and Light Company and a dozen or so education foundations in their footprint that's about strengthening STEM instruction with peer-to-peer learning. And a lot of teachers who didn't necessarily feel prepared and found themselves teaching in critical STEM subjects. And when we collected the reports back, we learned they did strengthen their STEM instruction, but we also learned out of 160 teachers who reported in that project that 87% said they were more likely to stay in the classroom because of opportunities like that. And that's an example of corporate support. It wasn't a huge dollar lift. It was giving the space and time and sometimes an honorarium to a lead teacher who's willing to step up and help develop other teachers and lift them. That can be enormously powerful. And I think, I'd love to be in charge and wave a magic wand and be in charge of teacher salaries, but that's above my pay grade and my role. But I will tell you that local investments in helping teachers, strengthen their own skills and feel honored and celebrated and empowered and their voices heard on the local level are very powerful.
Yep. Mary, I couldn't agree more. At United Way Suncoast, we always say together we're greater than any challenge. And I think what you're describing to me is building a camaraderie among the teachers so they realize that they're not alone, that they're in this with other teachers.
And I'll say it is a lonely profession. Like 50% of teachers never really get a chance to see other teachers do their thing in a real world, real time setting. So that alone is powerful. One last little thing with DeSoto, the DeSoto County Education Foundation is doing something pretty cool that they learned about from our Marion member, which is investing in paraprofessionals to become teachers in their district. So these are individuals who are already working in classrooms, maybe have a 2-year degree, but investing in them to finish their degree and sort of home growing a teacher workforce from teachers who are already invested in their community. A relatively small investment financially, but huge dividends for building a teacher workforce pipeline.
Sounds great. All right, Stacey and Cheryl, I know you probably wanted to weigh in on that one, but I'm trying to keep us on schedule. So let's go to our 5th and final video. This presentation comes from Kevin Hendrick, the superintendent of Pinellas County Schools. And here is Superintendent Hendrick.
Hello, I'm Pinellas County School Superintendent Kevin Hendrick. I would like to thank the United Way of the Suncoast for the opportunity to share our district story. As you know, the Department of Education produced our community report cards, and for the first time ever, Pinellas County Schools was rated an A school district. 83% of our schools earned A and B school grades, and no school earned a D or an F, a first time in our district's history. This tremendous accomplishment was made possible with the support of the community and every staff and support team member from our 143 district-wide schools. How did we do it? It started with a district strategic plan that focuses on 6 key priority areas to accelerate our progress and address our priorities. Priority 1 is academic excellence through innovation. We expanded early literacy training by hosting hundreds of academic competitions like Future Cities, Spelling Bees, and Battle of the Books. And we had over 500 field trips with the goal of making learning come to life. We hosted 30 summer camps to keep students engaged throughout the summer and kept over 10,000 students in our Summer Bridge program. In our Safe and Respectful Climate and Culture priority, we established the Student Support Division to optimize the coordination of direct services to students to help with behavior and mental health support. And our schools organize activities all year long around our See Something, Say Something campaign. Pinellas County Schools also prioritizes equity with excellence for all. And here's an example of our student achievement and learning gain. In 3rd grade reading, 63% of our students are reading on grade level, which is a 7% increase from the prior year. When students are reading on grade level at an early age, the entire community benefits. We also saw gains in our district's English language learners and economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, all races and ethnicities. Every student in our Black student proficiency scores made gains with the highest they've ever been. We are proud of their accomplishments, but the gap is still too wide, and we will continue to focus on our Bridging the Gap plan. Our 4th priority is around positive staff experiences. We launched a teacher apprenticeship program with St. Petersburg College. It's designed to provide graduates with a 4-year degree and become teachers right here in Pinellas County. And over the summer, we opened our first employee child care program for affordable, high-quality child care for 1, 2, and 3-year-olds given by our school district to our employees. We're also building strong connections and communication. Last spring, we debuted our Experience PCS event. 3,000 community members attended this first event and participated in family-friendly learning activities while learning more about our school district. And we could not accomplish this mission and this vision without the support of 25,000 volunteers. Last year, these volunteers donated over 545,000 hours of their time, equating to about $17 million in value for our schools. That kind of volunteer dedication assists our fiscal and operational responsibility. Last year, we also opened a new school, Mangrove Bay Middle School, in partnership with the Spear YMCA. And in 25-26, we'll celebrate celebrate the fusion of Walsingham and Southern Oak elementary schools into a K-8 school. In our district, we'll continue to focus on strategic priorities and the student and staff experience, because when we focus on these priorities, we make progress and raise expectations for everyone in the community.
All right, here we go. Back on camera. And Superintendent Hendrick gave us a lot of positive news about what's happening in Pinellas. Congratulations to that district for earning its first A. And one of the things that stood out from the video is that he talked about the equity gap. And although they've made progress in narrowing that gap, he was very candid in saying that it's still too wide. Dr. Bear, I wanted to kind of delve into this topic a little bit more, and we'll start with you. What steps do you think the community should take or can take in supporting measures to close the equity achievement gap?
So let me start with a little bit of hot off the presses news. Today, the NAEP scores were released, and that measures student achievement progress in reading and mathematics in elementary and middle school. And unfortunately, both 4th and 8th graders have lost ground in reading. About 2/3 of the 8th graders exceeded NAEP's basic level of achievement in reading, but that is fewer than did so in 1992. Let that sink in for a minute. Less than 19, fewer students than in 1992. So by some measures, we are staying stagnant or sliding backwards, and we are losing ground, particularly with some of our lowest performers. So I applaud these superintendents who are not just focused on the overall number and, are we having higher graduation rates, are we having higher literacy rates, but are really beginning to unpack and understand what their data is telling them and where there are places that they really need to be focusing on closing some of those achievement gaps. So while our high achievers continue to do the same or better, our lowest performers continue to fall back, creating a widening of that achievement gap. We are seeing some shifts in K-12 in terms of reaching back into the community. K-12 education is not necessarily responsible for the efforts that are happening before students are getting to schools, but we're seeing communities really embrace opportunities to connect voluntary pre-K and early education happening before kindergarten to make sure that they can lay that foundation to strengthen kindergarten readiness before students are actually getting to their doors. So where are some of those creative partnerships that early education and K-12 can come together around? And one interesting community effort that I really wanted to lift up is the Pinellas Education Foundation for more than a decade now has been addressing the literacy achievement gap between boys and girls. Consistently, if you look at test scores, boys are underperforming their female counterparts, but by using really core instructional practices that are creating the best learning environments for both boys and girls, they are beginning to see in the schools that are participating in this initiative a closing of that literacy proficiency achievement gap. And there isn't a lot of conversation happening around some of those achievement gaps between our male and female students. So it's innovations like that the community is lifting up and supporting and holding as examples that we can really, get behind and continue to push opportunities for innovation in that space.
Yeah, I love the discussion about the achievement gap between boys and girls. It is prevalent and it's been a concern for quite some time. Okay, so we're sort of kind of back on schedule a little, but I want to give each of you now a chance to offer some closing comments. Cheryl, Mary, if you wanted to add a little bit about the topic we just talked about, the achievement gap, you can do that. But first, before we give you that chance, I just want to say I so appreciate all of you helping us delve deeper into the range of factors impacting K through 12 education. Now, Cheryl, we'll start with you. Here's your opportunity to offer some concluding thoughts about today's discussion.
Thanks, Ernest. Reflecting on this conversation today, there seemed to be a theme of uplifting the educators, uplifting the teachers, providing them with the tools and the knowledge and the support necessary, and having our community wrap their arms around the schools and really uplifting the schools. And I really do think that is an answer. And I do think it's our community's superpower. And so I really would love to be able to encourage the people on this call today, listening to this forum today, to think about the ways in which they can extend their hands and wrap around the schools and the people that make these schools the wonderful, vibrant places that they are for our youth, to help them to figure out how and ways that they can make it better. I think about the philanthropic component, the equity gap, the need for teachers. All of this suggests that in our community lies the answer. So I really do want to express that to folks today. I also would like for them to think about the ways in which they contribute to the narrative that our schools are positive, uplifting, highly educational institutions, that our kids are worthy of the highest quality education, and our kids are humanely wonderful and just in and of their own right. Keeping the narrative on the long game that our youth become our tomorrow's leaders, and really focusing in on that. I'm over the negative media for education, and I'm all for changing that narrative. And I think it starts locally, one person at a time in our community, and then they can't stop us, can they? So, I just really want folks on this call today to realize that we can all play a key role in this, and we can use our capital, social capital, physical capital, our voice, our time to be able to make a difference. Everything matters.
All right, Stacy, some closing comments from you.
So I think I'll end with maybe a bit of the economic case. Helios recently released a report called Florida's Future Billions, and it's looking at what happens when Florida focuses on increasing college enrollment rates, increasing parity among different subpopulations, increasing college attainment rate. What happens to not only the individual, what's the economic impact to the individual, but what's the economic impact to society? What's the economic impact to the state of Florida when we're able to have greater tax revenue? And the bottom line is lifetime earnings for individuals with bachelor's degrees are projected to be nearly 2 times greater than that for high school graduates. Everything that we talked about today on this webinar is about setting up students for future success. Dr. Ellerbach just talked about that. What is it that we can be doing today to make sure that students have the greatest options into the future, and really grounding this? And money's not everything, but economics speaks to groups, the business community, government officials. What's the opportunity for them and for individuals if they achieve at higher levels? And so I just wanted to end on that point.
All right, very good. Mary, we give you the last word among our panelists.
Pressure is on. Luckily, I feel like I don't know Cheryl. I know Stacy very well, but I feel like she's set me up for what I'd already made a note of 4 points I wanted to make. First of all, back to Superintendent Hendrick in Pinellas. I love how he framed everything around the 6 goals on the strategic plan of the district. And I would say as a first step of wanting to have a positive difference is read your school district strategic plan. They're on the websites, read them, and you'll have a greater global view of the priority areas. Second, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you to also get to know your local education foundation. We have a vibrant one in each of these 5 communities. If you don't know them at all, maybe start with the website and then start with a conversation and learn what they're doing that may not be on the website, or what they may have tried before or are thinking about doing, and where you can plug in so you can maximize, besides money, everybody's greatest commodity, which is time. And you can, find where you want to plug in that works for you, and the best conduit, and not duplicating efforts, et cetera. And then on the economic mobility and college attainment front, I helped lead an education, or I led an education foundation for 10 years in Alachua. But it wasn't until the last couple of years that I started mentoring a student myself. In my community. And I would encourage you to get on a school campus if you haven't. And mentoring is a great way to do that, either through Take Stock in Children program or other mentoring initiatives in your community, because it's a great way to really see what's going on and get past the noise and any negativity, and get to know students and get comfortable with what's happening in schools. And then on that final front of let's create some good news, my colleagues at the Florida School Boards Association are just embarking on a campaign about the endless opportunities in Florida schools, and anybody can contribute a story about something positive happening that could be replicated or another community could learn from, besides lifting up and celebrating what's happening in your own community. So I'd encourage you to look at Florida School Boards Association's homepage and help us elevate some of the positive impact. The challenges are real and remain, and they were here before COVID. And Stacy pointed out some data that shows us how much work we have to do. But it doesn't help if we're not starting on a positive, forward-looking path. And I think we can all play a role in that.
All right. So thanks again to all our panelists, Dr. Cheryl Ellerbrock from the University of South Florida, Dr. Stacy Beyer from the Helios Foundation, and Mary Chance from the Consortium of Education Foundations. Now, to bring the forum to its conclusion, we want to bring forward United Way Suncoast Chief Impact Officer Bronwyn Baytall. Bronwyn.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for being with us today. Much has been said and written about education in our region and in our state, and sometimes the critiques overshadow the successes. What we know through convening and collaborating with education leaders, and hopefully what we've also learned today, is that our leaders, and more importantly, our children, are making steady progress. Education reform does not occur in lightning bolts. It's a process that requires diligent efforts that yield incremental gains. At United Way Suncoast, our role is to contribute to the efforts of teachers and administrators and engage in a coalition of the willing to help level the playing field so that all can find a path to success. That's your role too. Every community member, whether you have a child in school or not, has a responsibility to contribute to the success of our students. Education represents a foundational element in our society. Because of that, early learning, literacy, and career development serve as cornerstones of United Way Suncoast's community impact efforts. Our Quality Childcare Initiative helps ensure that children from all backgrounds have access to high-quality childcare and early education. We focus on enhancing learning environments and elevating training for educators. We also work to support school districts by funding paraprofessionals in 4 of our 5 school districts. And we enhance career development for middle school and high school students with our nonprofit partners. But we can't do it alone. No one can. Parents, teachers, students, business leaders, elected officials, and policymakers all must step up for our community. When the coalition of the willing refuses to give in to the headwinds blowing against our collective effort, we can galvanize the community and create real and lasting change, the kind of change that happens day by day. Our region's momentum is on the rise, and the students with eager energy are brightening the future. Let's give them our support, because united we rise, united we win. Onward. Thank you so much for joining us today.